Welcome to the Wisdom Trust. I'm Loren Crawford. This podcast is for gay men over 50 who sense there's more to this stage of life than we've been taught. More connection, meaning, honesty, and possibility. Each episode is a conversation with a thoughtful gay man who's navigating the deeper questions that often emerge in the second half of life. Aging, identity, purpose, belonging, reinvention, community, love, and living consciously. These are not conversations about decline. They're conversations about becoming. I'm glad you're here. Hello, and welcome back to another issue podcast of the Wisdom Trust. We're here today with Davidson Koay. And before I introduce Davidson, I'd like to just remind us of our conversations here aren't about subject matter experts. We're not celebrities. We are gay men over 50, and we're sharing our journeys. We're sharing our stories so that we can help other men in their journeys learn something, experience something, and maybe connect and feel a sense of community with the fellows that we're having these conversations with. So let me tell you a little bit about Davidson. Davidson is a 50-year-old, so he's a young guy in our community, happily married, and he's starting to think about his future and retirement and is sensing that there's something maybe a little bit missing in his life, but he's not quite sure what that is, but he wants to grab what it is as he figures it out. So I think you're going to be in the right community to have that discussion, Davidson. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about who you are? So give us a little bit about your background.
Thank you for having me, Lawrence. And I'm originally is from growing up in a small island called Penang Island in Malaysia. And of course, as you probably know, Malaysia is a Muslim country, and literally the gay life is very hard for for the gay men, and we literally cannot really come out openly to be gay or to be ourselves. So of course, when I graduated from the college, I decided to uh, go to study in London, which has changed my life. That's what I had my one my first time there, which is uh, I kind of opened up for me to actually explore the gay life. And I know that if I stay in Malaysia, I'm probably is not going to enjoy that much and be myself. So of course, in that times, it's kind of like when I graduated was 2008, which is the economy
Mm.
corrupt the whole world. So I was kind of cannot get a job. I had a lot of times. So I was in a chat room and chat with the engineering chat room that I meet one uh, guy, which is my current boss. He was there to helping people, do uh, the engineering assignment. And we charged for a while, and one day he offered me the job.
Nice.
So that's why I'm here by the end of 2000. And from there, I'm just, slowly learned to be by myself in here. It's kind of quite tough. We have to go through the cultural change. A lot of stuff have to go through. It's kind of like, but I make it. So during this time, it's kind of learned. And my boss, almost my mentor. And I probably previously mentioned about it when the first our conversations. You probably know that, that because I work from him and almost like my father's, and it's kind of like cut in between my job and what you are in a family job, and it's kind of very hard sometimes.
Right.
So, and of course, when I come here, still have to go through so many uh, immigration issue also because I come here as H1B visa, and when I start trying to apply the green card, and the lawyer is kind of mess up all my paperwork, so I have to go through another lawyer and not really doing very well also, and until I kind of stuck here like for 10 years trying to deal with this immigration's paperwork until I met my husband and we get married and kind of made things a lot easier.
Oh, good. Okay. So you were studying in London, and then you connected with a fellow. He offered you a position. You went from, so it must have been interesting moving from Malaysia to London, um, and that you were studying engineering there, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and then you got your job and had to relocate to the US.
Actually, after I graduated, I went back to Malaysia,
Okay.
uh, worked for at least a year before I got the offer.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So how does it compare, in retrospect, thinking back, what was it like being in London, big city, and then moving to where you are in the US? How did that compare? Was it different for you?
Well, when in London, when we were young, we student, but I didn't go to London by myself. We had whole group of the students, so it's the same school, so we call it classmates. So
Right.
I will not feel alone. And the problem is, we all hang out together, we speak our own language. I never really improved my English, and in that time, my English is so bad. That's why I told in the chat room, I was telling my boss that, if I can to improve my English, I will be happy. The only thing that he said that you can learn the English better, you have to live in a country that only speak English.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how he offered me the job.
Yeah. It's kind of like me learning French. I always had this idea of, living in Canada, it's considered a bilingual country, although it's really not in many ways. Um, and yeah, it's hard to learn another language unless you're right in the thick of it, right?
Yeah.
So when you came to the US again, how long has it been?
End of 2000s
Okay.
is about.
And
Mhm.
yeah, so you've been here a while and you've been working for the same company, and so this is kind of like a family business. This boss of yours isn't just a boss. He's like a mentor and really almost like a father figure. Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
So that is that making things a little bit complicated for you?
Yes.
How so?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah. Because sometimes, like if I want to quit the job, sometimes or it's very stressful for our field because we are in the medical field. We are design, install, and service, uh, and it's also 24/7 standby. So sometimes can be get very stressful. So and then with our company also is FDA regulate and also ISO certified, and there's a lot of things on my plate to deal with, and
Yeah.
just I had so many titles. Depend upon what he want, I can put whatever head he want me to be.
Wow.
So sometimes it's very stressful. Sometimes I want to feel like I want to uh uh, quit a job, and I also consider I was kind of like born to the company, and the company really need me. I sometimes think about if I quit, what happened to the company? What happened to the business?
Hmm.
And also think about if I hope the company can survive without me. If not, and it's a lot employee, I will feel about very guilty about all the people that lost the job.
Right.
But I hope that
Well,
I'm not that important.
it sounds like you're very important. Um, yeah, so that must be a big challenge. So tell us about, um, what part of this story that you're in has been the biggest pivot for you? Or maybe you're in it right now. Like I'm calling this the fabulous moment, but it can be like that aha moment where you start to really think about things differently, right? And I don't know how long you've been ruminating about maybe leaving the workforce or finding a new position. But what would you say is your big pivot at this stage in your life?
Well, it's like I'm still struggle trying to like figure out how can I approach. I know that I mentioned to him before about quitting, and it's kind of like we have it's kind of like I feel that our relationships kind of like become distant thing. Since 2003, I'm still trying to we are still it's kind of like more talk at work about the business and the private life. We hardly talk our
Mm,
personal life anymore. And it's kind of like sometimes kind of like really it's like I don't want to like lose him completely. If I quit the job, it's kind of like a struggle, and I try to figure it out. I have been with this job so long, and the job that I have is very specialized. If
yeah,
for me to change the job, also it's very hard for me to find a similar job. I might have to start all over again. And with 50, I kind of like, you know, people might not want to hire me. It
yeah,
depends also. So I try to see that what job actually I can fit in, or I say that I really want to retire, but if I can afford, I will. So at this point, I'm still trying to figure out what is my next approach. I will think about a few things, and sometimes I just feel like my job is so stressful. I just want to get a job at Walmart and
right.
just be stuck on the shelf. By the time I finish, I can turn on my brain. I don't have to think about anymore. I don't have to worry about a phone call in the middle of the night or earlier morning.
Yeah,
To take care of the medical service.
yeah. Have you have you got it sounds like this is still very much up in the air. So have you thought about maybe sitting down and mapping out what a game plan would look like an exit strategy in terms of, maybe you don't know what that next job is going to be, but at the same time, knowing that a shift or a change has to happen.
Well, actually I have discussed with my husband before, and he's kind of very supportive. He said he will just stand by me whatever I decide. What I want to do. Or how original I was thinking that I might be just quit a job, and if I cannot get a job, I can just consider take a break for a while and
Sometimes
then try to
the
figure it
taking a
out.
break can be the pause that you need to sort of reset, right? Because no doubt after 25 years in a high responsibility, high level job, you've got a lot of skills, right? And you probably at this stage aren't really seeing how much there is, and being able to step out of it could be that opportunity, especially if you have the support of your partner. And there's no financial imperative to sort of take a fresh look at who is David and who is David becoming. And I want you to know that this isn't unique. This is a common thing that occurs in the 50s where people may be having been, working in a certain area, a certain job, the same employer for, a couple of decades, like yourself, more than 2 decades. And then it all of a sudden starts to feel, or maybe it progressively starts to feel a little less than fulfilling, right? And that's a sign in midlife that there's an alignment issue, that there's a disconnect from who we ultimately want to be and how we're showing up in our daily lives. And it can be, think of it as a bit of a crossroads, right? And hard decisions get to be made, and this is where people can begin to really step into their own. The benefit that you have, I would suggest, is you have a supportive partner. Some people don't have that. The other thing too, that might be of interest is starting to have the conversation with your boss. Have you even broached the topic at all?
Well, like it's kind of very hard to borrow a copy, but in the past, I was just sending a very, very long email. I feel that probably there's a ways that I can communicate better, uh, and then take it from there. But at the end, we just like I don't really follow up after that.
Mm,
It's kind of like. And another thing is that I know that it probably another issue is that I have is I might be lack of self confidence. I
Yeah.
know that a lot of people in my field they think I'm very capable, I am very smart, but I don't think I am. I
Yeah.
just think that I just do my job, and because of my experience and I know more, so
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, my friend, if you've been in that position for 25 years and you've got a lot of responsibility, you're a smart guy, right? And so some of that inner game, that inner working is where we have to focus, right? And figure out our worth, because a lot of times we, for whatever reason, there's all sorts of reasons, we don't hold ourselves on that same level of worth as others see us. And I would just suggest, the little that I know from you, that you've got a lot to offer, and so know that you are, worthy of whatever decision you decide to make. Let's look at a little bit about, you know, I want the way I like to have these conversations is when there's a pivot and you're kind of in the midst of one, which is very interesting, trying to navigate career and changing who you are in terms of that external identity, right? Because so many of us men identify with what we do. When you introduce someone, it's like, oh, hi, I'm Loren, and I'm a coach and a healer, or we identify by our roles, right? And so the thing about navigating that can be really challenging, because it's like, if I let go of that identity, well, then who do I get to become, right?
yeah.
Um, but let's think about it in terms of, if you were to leave that position, what would that give you freedom from? If you were to sort of say, okay, I'm going by, what would that give you freedom from?
I would think the freedom from stress and responsibility, as
Mm,
because the in medical field is a lot of the reliability, because so that is a big responsibility. I always tell myself that if I can start all over again in my career, I will not get into medical fields again.
wow.
So it's like, like it's very like feel like it's maybe it just also it's me also that everything I do, I would think that I have to be responsible for that,
Right.
because
Right.
all
So
my
how does that
actions.
how does that stress play out in your body? Like, for example, how do you handle stress on a day-to-day basis with that job?
Well, sometimes I just get used to it. I just tune to it. I will get sometimes I get very stressed, frustrated, but after I get have sleep, the next day I will feel fine. And a lot of times I even know that I have very stressful, very crazy day at work, and I will really bring back, you know, at home, talk to my husband. I probably just he will ask me how's my day. I will just say it's a shitty day, and we just laugh together. And maybe it's just the ways that's kind of to make me feel relaxed, because I don't want to bring my stress from work back home. And like I might try to be also be happy also, and tries to be like don't want to be like feel sad or like
Mhm.
depressed at home. And I'm
Yeah,
sure it's going to affect my husband also. So the best way I
sure.
do is like, tries to be like more
But how does
happy, more
Davidson,
optimistic.
though, how do you process that? So you want to put on a happy, friendly face at home with your partner, and yet you've got this huge responsibility with your work and calls in the middle of the night, all of that sort of thing. So do you have a mechanism to sort of deal with that, or do you just push through?
I just push it through. Sometimes I just don't want to think about it too much, and then because the uh, uh, in Chinese we have the phrase says that when the sheep hit the dog, it will straight up itself. So eventually the problems like it's going to times actually will show or will tell that it really will solve or not. And it's a lot of time that I will says that life is already so tough and so hard, and we try to be happy and will make the life easier, because regardless we are sad or we are happy, the life still have to move on. Why we just make ourselves a lot easier and try to be happy?
Sure. Sure. And there's no happy pill, right? Like we can't just take a pill and go, I'm happy now. So this is where the choices start to matter, like how much longer, can you endure the stress level that this job places you under, like these are questions to consider, and um, so let's say that you make a decision over the next little while and things shift and maybe you do take that break and you have some opportunity to reflect and create a new version of yourself. And maybe it's still in the medical field, but maybe you totally do something entirely different. Like you use those transferable skills, all those responsibilities you have, you package them differently and create a new version. Maybe you become a consultant and help people in this field up their game, right? What would that change give you freedom to? Like where would that take you in terms of you, your partner, your relationship, moving towards the retirement years, all of that stuff? What would that look like?
Wow, that is a very tough question. I don't really, actually, I don't even really think about it. I only think about little bit is that if I quit a job, what is next?
Hmm.
What I can do? I have few things, like I have considered few things. Actually, getting the job in Walmart is part of my thinking too. It's part of
You just need a
my
break.
consideration. Just want to take a break, and I
Yeah.
was also told my husband that you know I sometimes I just enjoy doing the massage. Maybe I will just go and get my massage license, and I can start from there because at least that once they give me the freedoms, I can do my own schedule, and and that I says that probably I don't have to work that much. Will help me a little bit of my stressful life. Of course, to do that, probably we have to consider our financial adjustments.
Yeah.
Maybe I will not match that same income that I have right now. So also it's part of my consideration that you know, kind of afraid. Also, at the end of the day, we still will come to the financial, regardless what we are doing, and because financial basically play a biggest role in our life. So that is part is also like kind of like made me worry, and that's kind of maybe it's an obstacle for me to move forward to change career.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the trap, right? That's the trap that many of us find ourselves in because we've established a certain standard of living and we can't imagine going down a little bit or shifting that. We live in a society that's like more, 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 more. And if it's not more, then we consider ourselves failures or whatever, but someone who's left, a well-paying job that I had for 25 years because it's a similar story to yours, actually. I was just kind of like done. Right. And so what I did is I created an exit strategy. Like I knew where I wanted to go, or when I wanted to go is a better way of saying it. I didn't know what it was going to look like after, but I knew I had skills, right? And that the universe would work out. It would make it work out. Um, but I think that's the thing. Like when you have an exit strategy and you start working towards it, then things start to align a little bit, and you start to see options. You start to see opportunities where they weren't before because you were so narrowly focused. But um, yeah, I would encourage you to give that some thought as you're moving forward. The massage thing is very interesting, and it's a such a different area of what you described your work to be, to being like tactile and connecting on a human level, all of that stuff. Maybe it's something you start to explore in your free time if you have any, and see if it works. Take some lower level kind of training, and explore that. And then if that's the way you want to go, then things will start to move accordingly. But what I was going to say around the financial stuff is we can use that as a barrier. But then if we do that, we're caged. We live a caged life. We live a caged life based on dollars and cents. And when I left that job, my income literally was cut in half, because I had a pension, which a lot of people don't, but I did. I was blessed with that. But I had to learn how to live with half the amount of money. And we can do that. And it doesn't impede our happiness. Yeah, maybe we don't travel as much, whatever, but we start to find other means of gratification, and now I'm doing this work, so over a period of years, coaching came into my life, and that. So I do think that in our midlife, and I'm saying this not just to you, but to everyone who's listening, who's in that place of angst around, I'm in my midlife, I'm in my 50s, I don't have myself set up for a quote unquote retirement, which in me personally, I don't even believe in that notion. I think that we can always find something that we're doing and feeling fulfilled by, whether it's paid or not. And the idea of retirement doesn't even need to enter the question, because we always want to be showing up and being purposeful, in whatever way, shape, or form that is, in my view. I know not everyone agrees with that, but what is that next thing going to look like? And if it's massage, that's brilliant. But maybe there's something else there too. But I would caution you and folks listening not to get into that cage of the monetary thing, because there's always options. There's always, some right sizing. Like, we often use the word downsizing, but maybe there's right sizing. Like, maybe we move into a place that's more aligned with that new level of income, and instead of this higher level of income, and we just adjust within a matter of days. We adjust, right? Because that's how it works. Our brains don't like change, but we can move into change and then adapt quite readily.
I agree. And
Yeah.
of course, uh, my husband and I would have always planned, we want to travel a lot when I retire. And of course, the travel, which is need a financial support. And of course, my financial advisor is planning that for me to retire at 60, I still have 10 years to go. So uh, after that, I can do what we want plan to do. But I really want to have my dream to come true. To be honest, if I want to go and jump on retire, I can make it in 5 years, like you said, that maybe my income will be, half to half, like that you mentioned before. But if I do that, I might be not able to make my dream to come true because I have to draw my retirement funds earlier than it
Yeah.
should be. Yes, yeah. If I retirement earlier, it means that I have to access my retirement fund, and it will affect my plans for the futures. And I might be don't able to travel as what we planned. But I really want my dream to come true. So sometimes, we hold to our dream. We have to make it happen. We do whatever it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the choice, right? It's like,
Yeah.
is if the choice is I'm going to do this thing called retiring, and then I'm going to travel a lot. And then that's that whole approach of deferred benefits, right? Like, or deferred outcomes in terms of the work that you're doing. You're deferring your satisfaction by working in a stressful, pressure-filled job to get to that certain place where you have the income that you can then start to relax and do the traveling and all that. Yeah. So that's a model that some people embrace and stick to, and they put in the years, they do the work, and then they retire. The other model would be, well, maybe those dreams can change. Maybe you can have new and different dreams. Maybe it isn't just about
Perhaps.
traveling. Maybe when you find that next career that lights you up, you have no desire to travel to retire, because you're so enamored of that work. Like, you're so captured by it. Because when we're in that heaviness of work being, drudgery and stressful, we can't even imagine doing things that actually feel like they light us up. You've got an inkling that it might be massage, and it may well be, but it could be something else entirely different too. So I think we need to, it's good to have dreams, but when we attach to them, that they've got to look and be a certain way, that sort of expectation can actually be, well, the Buddhists would say, it creates some suffering. So have the dreams, have the expectations, but no, it's actually the journey to get there is part of the fun. And if the journey is miserable and we're holding out for that thing over there, well, then what kind of quality of life do we have? Waiting for the future where, so I think it's important. And these are all questions that we get to have in midlife, right? And if we've got kids and responsibilities like that, or if we've got a lot of debt, or other challenges, one of mine was during COVID, I had a yoga studio that I ran and I lived above it. And with COVID, there was no clients. So there was no money. So it's like bankruptcy, so that's not something anyone plans for. So we learn how to, it's like water, we learn how to like move, right? And we trust the higher whatever god, if you're that, if I call it the universe, that there are bigger forces at play that are guiding us forward. And I know that you're a super bright guy, and your boss knows that too, right? And so whatever you end up doing is gonna, it's ultimately gonna be the right choice for you. Find the Wisdom Trust on school.com/the-wisdom-trust/about. Website is wisdomtrust50.com. Find us on Substack, thewisdomtrust.substack.com. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, youtube.com/@thewisdomtrust50. See you on those platforms. So tell us a little bit about you right now, like as you're navigating this, and you've got your spouse, and tell us a little bit about that. Like, how are you leveling up your life to sort of meet these challenges that you're facing?
Well, first, I wish I can, like I mentioned before, I kind of lost my confidence. I wish I can gain my confidence back. I remember that the first times that when I get a job offer to come here, none of my friends and my family actually support me except my father.
Mm,
And I would say, well, I'm young, and if I don't come here and try, it's my success rate is zero. If I come to try, even though the success rate is only 1%, there's still 1% there. So I take the risk. I came here. Yeah. I wish I had the confidence now, like I had before. I would like to start
yeah.
uh, the new career again. But as probably we are getting older. Like you say, we have more stuff to think about it, more stuff to concern. And maybe we are more mature to start consider a lot of stuff. When you are young, you don't know what future was going to lead you. You're young, you can afford to lose time and start again. But when you get older, things start getting harder and harder each day.
For sure, things change, right? And then I think the other thing that's really important is the way that we approached it in our 20s or maybe our 30s. Like, I didn't land my ideal job till I was in my 30s. It took me a while. But at this stage, yeah, like when those choices are in front of us, if we use the same sort of framework that we did back in our 20s and 30s, like, oh, I need this job, it's how I identify, it's who I am, versus what can I do that's going to give me a sense of purpose, what can I do that's going to light me up. And these are reflections that we can all do. And it's kind of like dreaming a little bit like you did in your 20s, like what would it look like to take that job in the US and to move. Like, as soon as you decide you want to make a change and a shift, you'll start to see things differently. And if you open yourself up to those potentials, who knows what could happen? You know, but we're also in a shitty economy. So then there's that, right? Like you have to weigh all of the things together. I think what is um, a balanced approach is to start to dabble into things a little bit here, a little bit there, staying the course with the job that you have might be the smartest route in terms of your plan, right? But then if there is something, say you do a weekend massage training course and you're like, oh my God, I love this. And then you start having a few clients here and there and you're like, oh my God, I really love this. And then you start to see what the remuneration looks like, because it's hard work, right? Doing that physical stuff, especially in your 50s and beyond, I know it's hard work on your body, and it's you have to you can't react, like, because when you're doing energy work, and I know this from doing it, you deplete a lot. So you have to be able to have resources within, systems and tools within, to maintain your own energy. And I'm not just talking like physical energy, I'm talking like the super subtle energies. Um, but there's so much good in that kind of work too, because it's tactile. You're connecting with other humans, you're having that beautiful kind of human connection that maybe is not part of your current job. So I would encourage you just to start exploring a little bit. Be creative, and don't be scared to dream. I think this is what we like I said, we get locked into what we think it's supposed to look like, and then that's also very much a cage, because what if it doesn't look like that? What if it looks like something way better? Like I don't know what those trips are that you're dreaming about, but what if there's something that was way better than a trip? Like, I don't know, just saying, like, don't be shy to dream, and we get ourselves really compressed, right? We get ourselves really tight, and especially when we're in a stressful job, because like the most of our life is at this stage, when we're still working full time, is work, right? So it's really, really intense. um, but for the leveling up, I would love for you to start exploring some of that stuff that you're thinking might be an avenue for you to pursue, and then to let us know how it goes.
Yeah, I need to break the ice, And like it says that my job actually I have to meet a lot of clients, the like a biomed, the nurses, the doctor. So I probably have the uh, interperson skill, and also that for my jobs, I probably it's not that many engineer actually get the hand dirty, and I always use my hand. I mean, I always oversee the project. I always help do the project, and even though I'm only like 5'5", 115 pounds, I can move 300-pound stuff.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
It's
Yeah.
just the way
So
that how
so
you
so
move.
there you are, Davidson. You have a ton of resources already. I'm going to invite you after this call to make a list of all of those amazing things you just started to list, because once you see that in paper written in front of you, it's like, that's who I am. And then this kind of stressful stuff over there of the work and all of that stuff that's heavy, it's like, if you start to focus more over here, you are this guy who can communicate, who connects with people. You have this beautiful energy. So there's so much. There's a lot, I think, that's going to shift for you.
But the problem is the like social life stuff, in the people, it's not really what I like. The reasons I thought I would get an engineering work, I would just go and hide in a cubicle, just do my job. I don't want to have anything else. But I end up with like have to interface with people every day
But
with
you
the
said you're good at
customer.
it, though, right? You said, well,
Well, it's can survive for
you can.
25 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you've got an amazing kind of energy, and I think that whoever gets to meet and interact with you would probably be really appreciative of that. That's amazing. Tell us a little bit about you and your partner, that you've been together for a while, and how has that all been, like your lives together?
Okay, we are, I don't know, we could consider is very lucky. I always tell people, and they will laugh. I met my husband at bathhouse, and he's in the process of divorce. And he told me that he is not going to get married again after he divorced. And I remember that he signed his paperwork at October 2016, and we got married at February of 2017.
That's great. So you're a catch. You're a real catch then, apparently.
Well, it's kind of like, but until now, that it's already over nine, just a little bit over 9 years now,
Nice.
and we kind of get along very well, and I kind of lucky because he is very laid back person, very optimistic. For over 9 years in our marriage, I never seen him upset or angry, even
Wow.
once. So he always like laugh. He's very totally opposite to me. He can talk to everybody. He initiate the conversations with everybody. Maybe just the balance. I'm more quiet one when I in a big group, and he's the one who talk all the time, and I am the one who mostly is listen and chime in once in a while. Maybe that's what always to be like have the opposite to be balanced. But he's very supportive, and I kind of feel very lucky to to have, have
Beautiful.
him. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, to have that kind of support behind you, that's really amazing. And especially if it's a complementary energy. Yeah, that's great. How do you have fun? How does Davidson you talked about the work and the stress there. So what's the counter to that? How do you have fun at this stage in your life? How are you looking after yourself?
Well, like a lot of changing for last few years, but before that, I just tries to like uh take vacations. I like to travel, and a lot of times that when I during I process apply my green card, I strap in US, so I visit almost the most popular national park. I went to a lot of national park. I like to hike. I like the nature, so that maybe it's a part of for me to relax. And I always like to travel to see the new architecture, new culture, try experience new things. That's part of the maybe help me to kind of relax. And I'm still doing that, but recently we kind of have a different approach. Also, I'm kind of doing different things with my husband. Is also tries to, as you probably know, after you get married for a certain time or year, it can be get still the way that we do things together. And I tries to create something, create spark for us to kind of refreshments to, so we won't feel like very boring or dull. That's what relationships start fall apart. So I'm kind of okay. I'm start like kind of like going to join individual private groups. It can be like about mostly is for the gay, and some is for the social life, some is for the sexuality. We all need a requirement and needs anyway. Uh, so we kind of I just kind of join more of this private group because kind of tired with the social media, those dating apps, and I want to meet new, mean the people live in that really kind of create a connections. And even though that I say that I'm kind of shy, but I can have my husband to initiate the conversations, and I can chime in, then I can start warm up and I can start talk.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like create a different uh, vibe for to try to keep the relationships more fresh.
Nice. That's great. I love that. And I know that the people that are listening and watching this, you're gonna get some good love from people. Yeah, it's great. One of the areas that I like to sort of wrap up. Uh, you're a young guy. You're just in 50 now, but you've had a long career already of 25 years. Like that's amazing. Or 20 plus years anyway. Um, Tell us, in your at this stage in your life, what is some wisdom that you would like to share with others who will be listening to this? Is there something that you think, you've embodied or you've adopted in terms of how you show up for yourself, and that is some wise words to share with someone else?
Well, I will separate into two. One is the work, and I know that the uh, work always have the pressure, and a lot of time we finish our project under the pressure. Can use sometimes it's good. You can use the pressure as the motivations to help you push through what we are doing, and sometimes that you know just face or deal with the pressure, and it's like kind of like don't get pressure get into us, and kind of like most of the time that I was just thinking like, okay, now this job creates so much pressure. It's kind of like I cannot handle it anymore. But I start thinking back in the past, I had the same pressure, but now I look back, that one is nothing. So
Mm,
I'm sure the pressure you have right now, when in the future, when you look back, it's just nothing. And it might be just another, can be created experience for us to learn, to improve
mm.
through the life. So maybe that's the one you try to ask me how I deal with the pressure. Maybe that's one of the way that I dealing with the pressure that I have at work.
Mhm.
And for the like personal life, for me, I think we always try to, because I when I come here, I still like not very confident or feel comfortable with my own skin. I always think that I'm very skinny, and I'm not attractive, and like I wouldn't fit in this gay world or gay society because who want a skinny guy, but and I kind of start learning through and start building my confidence, and my point is the choice to be yourself, try to feel
Mm.
comfortable with own skin, and we don't live with for other people, we live for ourselves. So the main thing is the so that anything that we do, we are not harming the society or hurt other people. Do it, be yourself, and that will make your life be more meaningful and happy.
That's really lovely. It's really lovely. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to even know who we are ourselves, right? And that's where a little bit of quiet time, a little bit of reflection, a little bit of journaling to sort of get past some of the chatter, because this thing can do a number on us, right?
Correct.
But that's beautiful. That's really, really lovely. Great words of wisdom already, and apply them to yourself, right? Apply them to yourself, because sometimes we can have, my experience has been, and I'm sure others will relate to this, we can see others and have a sort of like a clarity around, oh, well, that seems obvious, maybe doing this or trying that or whatever. But for our own self, sometimes there's blinders, right? It's
Yeah,
like, I
yeah,
don't know.
I
um
agree.
yeah, so just know that you've got so much beautiful potential for whatever comes in the future, and I look forward to continuing to plug in with you in this community and draw on this community as one of the resources as we grow this thing, and there's more opportunities to plug in and engage. People will want to engage with you for sure, because I think we are a generous and caring lot. Sometimes we get very self-involved because that's the nature of the society that we live in. But when we start to open doors to experience and grow together and to learn together and to trust each other and to love each other, that's to me what this whole project is about, leveling ourselves up as a community so that each one of us can level up as individuals. Yeah. Any final words you'd like to share before we wrap up?
No, Yeah, not particular. So just I always say that try to be yourself. That is only things that I always tell my friends. Don't be afraid to do things that you want to do. Of course, that applies to myself. Sometimes we just never see our own problems. We can see other people's problems, and we just lingering around our own problems.
Yeah, or the solutions don't seem obvious. And then hopefully having these conversations helps, right? Helps for some reflection. Probably when you go back and listen to this again, it'll be like, oh, some other ideas will start to move. And that's really important. That's really important,
Yeah,
right?
just like I say, I just need to break my. I just need to break the ice.
Yeah,
That is the kind of hard part. I'm sure it's for a lot of people too, not only me.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Davidson. This has been really lovely.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you to our guests today, and thank you for listening. If what you heard landed with you, if you felt seen, heard, inspired to make a shift, I want to hear about it. Get back to me on one of our platforms or where you're listening to or seeing this. And if you know another man over 50 who you think would benefit from hearing this, share it with them, please. This community grows when we show up for each other. You can find more essays on these topics, reflections and such at our Substack account. Watch for other content on our YouTube channel and stay connected to us through our school platform. This is where we engage and are building our community. Remember, the second half of life isn't the beginning of the end. For many of us, it's the moment life finally begins to open up. You're not alone in this. We're in it together. I'll see you next time on the Wisdom Trust.